I mean, honestly, I personally would advocate for more. I personally think that just speaking and talking is not quite enough. But at least it's a start. It's not the full thing, though. I think that an actual anarchist revolution it seems to me, at least, that it would need some type of violence. At least, because it doesn't seem like people would very easily drop their ideas of capitalism. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm asking probably more of a historical point. So, I mean, like, for example, a lot of people attribute the decline of anarchism to the Anarchist Exclusion Act, the Palmer raids. Do you think that, like, this in the beginning half of the 20th century was the main decline? Mm-hmm. Do you think that it was a transition of many anarchists to Marxist-Leninism? Or do you think that we're not really in a position to gauge about where anarchism lost it?
To be honest, I think that it lost its steam. The unions actually, they became kind of satisfied once they got the 8-hour workday. And that's where anarchists at least were getting a lot of steam from, were the unions, were from the workers. And because of this, like what Johann Most said, it was basically appeasement of the workers. So they said, hey, you know what, this is pretty good. This is a lot better than what we had. And because there was so much appeasement of these, at least leftist ideals, especially when the New Deal came about, a lot of that, it just basically, what happens normally in American politics is that the bigger parties picked up on it. And the bigger parties actually started to use it into their ideologies, or at least the labor movement went to the Democratic Party instead of being totally just revolutionary. And so that's the reason why I think that it lost steam, is that people just said, well, we're getting at least something, and so why do we really need to advocate more for this? And because of the actual papers and everything else at that time were so anti-communist and anti-socialist and anti-anarchist that it became to the point where people just didn't want to be affiliated with it. They didn't want to be affiliated with the chaos and the violence and the craziness of the previous anarchists. And so they said, you know, let's back off from this. So that's, I think that's the reason why it probably fell more. So, do you guys have anything? All right, anything else? Yeah.
Well, I guess I'll just ask this question. At what point do you see the state dissolving as well as the Constitution itself? And I mean, most anarchists would be like, look, once we get rid of the state, like that's it, that's done. Like, yeah. So it's pretty much returned to this sort of Hobbesian state of nature where we kind of do our own thing. Right. But so the notion, I guess I'm asking, right, you seem to rely heavily still on the concept of the Constitution itself, which is a legally binding document that's enforced by the state. I guess my question to you is, do you believe in a state as an anarchist?
No.
And do you see it like once it being dissolved, dissolved for good, like done?
Not everything's done. I don't think that just because the dissolution of the state makes it everything okay. I think that it actually takes more than just that. I think it takes not just the state, but the idea of property, the idea also of law. In that law in itself is still using your right above another one. And so I think with the destruction of law, the idea of property, and at least the basis of the state, I think with those and going into a decentralization of that kind of nature, to where it's more of social relations, it's more of, you know what, this is what I'm going to do, this is how I'm going to provide the needs for my family. rather than this capitalist idea of always gaining more, always gaining more, always gaining more. And so I think when people get to the point where they just realize that we just need very simple things, and we're still happy. We don't need more things. I think that definitely will be a big change too, a big change towards anarchism. So,
Does anybody else have any questions or comments for discussion? Last call. All right, well, let's give Paul a hand. Appreciate it.